That afternoon, both of my parents were sitting in the living room with Dr. Agar and Miss Winthrop. Mother was still reporting to her empty classroom when she wasn't subbing, and Daddy had been let go for the next year, but he still had to finish out this one. I glanced at my watch. What's going on? I asked. It was only 3:30 p.m. We came home early, Daddy said. Dr. Agar is organizing a group called Stop. Stop this outrageous purge, Mother explained. We're going to circulate a petition asking for a special election to recall the board members who voted for the teacher purge, Dr. Agar explained. I must have given him a look like I didn't understand, which I didn't, because Daddy said, we're going to try to get the three school board members who fired the teachers removed. Why? I asked. If we can get three more moderate school board members elected, they can join forces with the three who walked out. Then instead of everything being deadlocked, we can move forward on reopening the schools. I thought the governor closed the schools, I said. The governor got the legislature to pass laws closing the schools, but a new school board, Mother said, might make a difference. They are the ones who set the start dates for the schools, and I couldn't remember the last time I seen my parents like this, working together on a project, enthusiastic, like Judy about Pine Bluff before Robert Lawrence dumped her. It was kind of nice. In any case, this sounded like the best chance we had in ages. So what can I do? I asked. Stop will be working with the WEC, Miss Winthrop explained. We need to gather 6,300 names, Dr. Agar said. That's 15% of the registered voters. If we get all the names, we'll get a special election. 6,300 names, I said. That's kind of a lot. How are we going to... We're organizing a petition drive at War Memorial Stadium this Sunday. People will be about able to drive up, sign the petition, go on their way. The thing is, I'm sure the segregationists are going to do the same thing, said Miss Winthrop, trying to remove the school board members we want to keep. This was so confusing. I was trying to remember everything I learned in history about elections and voting. If we could do this, Judy could come home. Someday Liz and I might be in the same school. Betty Jean came in then, serving cake and coffee. Seeing her gave me an idea. I followed her back into the kitchen. Betty Jean, I asked, are you registered to vote? Of course I am, she said. I grabbed her wrist and dragged her back into the living room where I made Dr. Agar explain everything again. Betty Jean listened quietly as he talked. So finally she said, I think I might know a couple of people who might be willing to sign a petition like that, if you don't mind accepting help from some colored folks, that is. Right now, said Dr. Agar, we're going to need every name we can get. I called Liz again that evening. She already heard about the petition drive and how Betty Jean and Pastor George were organizing colored folks. Our youth group is helping too. On Sunday, we're going door to door. Great, I said. Now I have something else to tell you. I quickly repeated what JT had told me. Call the police again, said Liz. And tell them what? Red has dynamite? I already told them that. Liz said nothing. Who's on the schedule for tonight? I asked. Pastor George, she said. Are you scared? I asked. Yes, whispered Liz, I am. Maybe brave. Chapter 45. The next morning when I woke up, I had an idea. I was pretty sure Mother wouldn't like it, but at least I could ask. Mother, I said over breakfast. She didn't look up from her paper. Any chance you let me stay home from school today so I can help Stop get a head start on these petitions? The words came out in a rush. Mother thought for a long time. I guess so. Really? She nodded. In fact, I think I might call in sick myself and give you a hand. I was too shocked to say a word. Unless you'd rather go with Miss Winthrop, Mother said, suddenly very interested in her toast. No, I said, I'd rather go with you. Mother smiled. Does this mean you think it's okay if Judy goes to school with Negroes now? I said. You know, said Mother, I think it does. 2 hours later, we've been up and down our street and had a handful of new names in our petition. Old Miss Chapman was on the first one to sign. Turned out, before she was married, she was a music teacher. Mrs. Madison, the mother of Jill, the little girl I'd taken trick-or-treating, was a different story. Mother barely got out what we were doing before Mrs. Madison started to scold us. Maureen Nisbet, what is a smart woman like you doing with a group like that? Mother was flustered. Well, Deborah, I don't think I am ashamed of you, Maureen, supporting those communist race mixers. Mother took a deep breath. If you would just listen to what Miss Madison slammed the door in our faces. Well, I never, said Mother, which was about as close as she ever got to swearing. A few houses later, I saw Sally and her mother walking around as well. I waved and ran to meet Sally in the street. You're working for Stop too? I asked. Sally stuck up her nose in the air so high a bat could fly right into it. Of course not, she sniffed. We're with Cross. What's that? The committee to the committee to retain our segregated schools. We're working to keep the schools segregated. Oh, I said, I guess I thought after what you said at the skating rink you'd Sally grabbed my arm and pulled me away from where our mothers were trying to pretend that they hadn't just realized they were on opposite sides. Truthfully, Sally said, I don't much care which side of this issue I'm on. As long as I get to skip school and get new clothes. Mother bought me this. She pointed to her new sweater set. Just in case TV reporter comes by and we get to be on television, I want to look my best. Pure Sally. Oh, I said, well, good luck. With getting on TV, I mean. As I walked off, Sally called, Hey, Marley! I looked back at her. Good luck to you, too, said Sally. Thanks. We smiled and went our separate ways. For the first time in ages, I felt okay about Sally. She was only against integration because her mother was. Eventually, she'd come around. Are you still friends with Sally McDaniels? Mother asked. After JT, I thought I'd better ask. Because, yeah, I replied, I think I am. At lunchtime, we took a break and went to Crystal to grab a burger. On the way to the restaurant, I noticed someone had placed a bunch of advertisements by the front door. I bent down to pick one up. It was a card inviting us to join the KKK. What is it? Asked Mother. I handed her the card. She bit her lip. Daddy found some of these at the newsstand last week. She glanced around. Quick, let's pick them all up. After we had gathered and thrown away all the cards, we went inside to order. I lost my appetite, but Mother insisted I get a burger, fries, and a chocolate shake. She ordered a cheeseburger, onion rings, and cherry coke. We shared a little tub of ketchup. This is nice, she said as we took turns dipping into the ketchup. We should do this again soon. Spend time together. Maybe go to the zoo? I nodded. I'd like that. It's not too babyish for you, Mother asked. No, I love the zoo. You always did, she said, especially the lions. Really? I asked. Do you remember when we moved to our house? Asked Mother. I shook my head. You had just turned 4. It was our first night in the house, and the lions started roaring. Judy and Dave and I were terrified, but you went right over to look out the window. You weren't scared of even getting eaten. You wanted to see them. I was only 4, I said. I didn't know any better. Mother shook her head. No, you were brave, like I said at the PTA meeting. You were just giving a speech. No, said Mother, I meant it. I finished the last of the chocolate shake. Brave? That was crazy. But if you had told me Mother would ever let me skip school, I would have said that was crazy too. Brave? Maybe I was. The next day at school, JT had a black eye. He kept his head down all day, but I saw it. We all did. After math, this time I cornered him in the hallway. What happened to you? I asked. Red? Your brother hit you? JT shrugged. Not the first time. Why don't you tell your parents? Why don't your parents do anything? I didn't tell them. I think they think I ran into a tree. I was pretty sure they didn't believe me. Why? I told you, Red thought I betrayed him. I hadn't, but he gestured for me to come closer. The dynamite is locked in the trunk of his car. I saw it this morning, and he saw it. I saw it. He pointed to his eye. He said if I said anything to Mother or Father, he'd kill me. JT bit his lip. But he didn't say anything about telling you. Thank you, JT. He nodded. Sally and Nora walked up then, and we jumped apart. What's wrong with you two? Sally asked. I shook my head and ran off. As soon as Daddy got home, I told him what JT had said. Daddy frowned, but called his friend at the police station. His face was grim when he hung up. They already searched Red's car. There's nothing there. He moved it, I said. Maybe, said Daddy, or maybe JT was mistaken or lying to upset you. In any case, try not to worry. The grown-ups will take care of things. I nodded, but I was really thinking, so far they aren't doing a very good job. Saints, Sinners, and Savables. At the petition drive on Sunday, May 10th, my job was to greet the cars as they drove up to bring the petition for them. Let me start over. At the petition drive on Sunday, May 10th, my job was to greet the cars as they drove up and bring the petition for them to sign right up to the car window. Mother or Daddy would come by with the notary to check the driver's license. No one even needed to get out of the car. Lots of people I knew came by. Mrs. Brewer, of course, and Reverend Mitchell from church. Even Mr. Harding and Miss Taylor from school. Late in the afternoon, Betty Jean and Pastor George stopped by to drop off all the signatures they had collected. I was thrilled to see that Liz and Curtis were with them. We've been gathering names since 9 this morning, exclaimed Liz. Only one person we asked refused to sign. Marley, I think this is just my work. You should have seen her, said Curtis. If someone was hesitant or nervous about signing, Liz just started talking, and by the time she was done, not only had the first person signed, but I had gotten three of his friends signed too. Liz can be very persuasive, I said. You can say that again, said Curtis. Liz blushed, and he beamed at her the way I'd always wished a boy would look at me. By Monday, Stop had enough names, but Cross got their petitions in too, so all 6 board members were being recalled. The special school board election was set for Monday, May 25th, that afternoon. Dr. Agar and Mrs. Brewer came to our house to talk to my parents about the next step for Stop. We have a copy of the poll textbook listing all the registered voters in Little Rock, said Mrs. Brewer. We need to put their names, addresses, and phone numbers onto note cards. Next, we'll divide the city into sections, assign each section a ward captain, and give each captain a shoebox full of cards with the names of all the voters in the area. Block voters will then personally contact as many voters as possible for the election. You think that will help? Asked Mother. It has in other cities when there was a tight election, said Miss Brewer, but we won't win without the Negro vote. Pastor George and I will handle it, said Betty Jean. There were already tea and cookies on the coffee table, but this time, instead of going back into the kitchen, she was standing in the doorway listening to the conversation. Good, said Dr. Agar. Then there's only one problem. What? Asked Daddy. There are 30,000 registered voters in Little Rock, admitted Miss Brewer. 30,000, repeated Daddy. But the election is only 2 weeks away. By the time we get all the cards organized, Mother shook her head. It's impossible. But I was doing some calculations. No, it's not. They all turned to look at me. 30,000 names sounds like a lot. I agreed. This is where we will stop for today.